Kia ora everyone, it's Chris here from the Bailey's Insights team. Got Carl Waalkens from our valuations team. Kia ora mate, how are you?
Hi all. Good, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, good man, good. So mate, thought we'd have a bit of a chat today around what's happening in, I guess, rent reviews from a valuation perspective, mainly for our occupier customers out there, just to give them a bit of insight around the coalface at the moment. So figured we'd start off industrial market, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting times in that sort of rental space.
Yep.
Just with the way the general economy is, and more particularly the property markets and what we've seen over the last couple of years,
Yep.
and the sort of changing face on that sort of rental market and
Yep.
what we're seeing, I guess.
It's like there's been quite a bit of growth over the past, I'd say 5 years, but then things are maybe calming a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's no surprise. It's not new information that there was significant increases in that industrial space.
Yep.
We probably started to see that button off at the end of maybe middle of last year.
Yep.
And that's been driven by a number of factors, which we probably don't need to go into great detail, but from a on the ground perspective, we probably saw, just with a general deterioration in the market and that kind of thing, tenants starting to not necessarily challenge the rental growth story, but
Yep.
more so trying to protect their position with forecasting where cash flow is going and bottom line and that kind of thing.
Yep.
So a lot more rental work starting to creep up in that industrial space.
Yep.
A lot of it's driven by landlords because these reviews,
Typically going up, right? Like
yeah,
initially.
correct.
Yeah.
And market reviews are so infrequent in most cases that
Yep.
A commencement rental from 2 or 3 years ago getting tested to market now,
Yep.
irrespective of where things are going, there's still significant increases.
Yeah, and I think some of the industrial tenants around the place, if they haven't been following what's happened with the market, maybe they rock into a rent review sort of milestone thinking, oh cool, just like 3% per annum type of thing, and then they're getting like shocked by what's been some quite considerable increases, right?
Yeah, correct. And that's the main thing is over the preceding this stage of the cycle,
Yep.
tenants were more or less just willing to accept and negotiate with the landlords privately, whereas
Yep.
now people are getting a little bit, not necessarily nervous, but they're engaging professionals to help soften that leap upwards. It's still very much a leap upwards, but
Yeah, just get in the right zone.
Correct.
I think as well for particularly the industrial customers, there's that big benefit if you're doing planning even a year or two out from a rent review, like budgeting, getting some early professional advice around where the rents may sit, just so that at least when you come into it, you're not shocked by your budgets haven't allowed for what's going on.
Yeah, on the occupier side for some of our larger clients, they're very much in a bit of a cost control phase, trying to manage, not necessarily now, but 2 or 3 years down the track, where their fixed costs are going, and rental being a big significant portion of that, and the flow and effect that has to the bottom line.
Yeah.
It's very much a topic of conversation that we're involved in at the moment.
Yeah, no, it makes heaps of sense. And so getting out of the industrial market into, I guess, the other big one being offices. We were chatting the other day that the office market's a little bit different because sort of fewer rent reviews generally, a lot of indexed rental mechanisms. What are you guys seeing in that space at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, the prime market sort of looks after itself. A lot of deals done directly with tenants and landlords, and very low vacancy rates, very high quality space, and that market, as I said, takes care of itself. It's a bit more of a probably gap between prime A and some of those secondary categories.
Yep.
Vacancies starting to creep up, changing trends with the way people like to conduct business now.
Yep.
So we're seeing a bit more, a bit more pressure, a bit more positive outcomes for occupiers and perhaps landlords that aren't necessarily pushing market rent reviews like they might have done a number of years ago now.
Yep.
And maybe just holding back or offering soft increases as opposed to full market.
Yeah, and it's probably one of those ones where if you come in armed with the right info, so ahead of time you've got some pro advice on where the rents might sit, at least you can have a really solidly positioned negotiation. If you're looking at maybe a packaged renewal as part of the rent review or something like that.
Correct.
Right?
There's a bit more scope in that in the office space at the moment to position, or construct a defence on whatever's been issued on you.
Yeah, sweet. And then final comment at the moment, right? Like if someone's getting towards a rent review milestone, say they've like an occupier's received a rent review notice, what's your typical advice from them, like when they get the notice of a...
Yeah, early engagement.
Yep.
Some of the, not the horror stories necessarily, but some of the more negative sort of situations are typically when occupiers have left things to the last minute, or they have not allowed themselves enough time. And that's got two things. It doesn't allow a valuer or someone similar to conduct all their research and provide a considered response. And secondly, it can aggravate the landlord. They might be unwilling to negotiate down the track as freely or as smoothly as they might have done had you engaged earlier.
And that would be particularly for a lot of the leases out there. They often have deemed acceptance clauses if you don't respond to the initial rent review notice, and usually they're all on like times like 20 working days or something like that.
Correct. Right? So the earlier you can get on top of these things, ideally prior to the actual review, maybe some early engagement, a couple of phone call conversations just around where the market's going, reading some of the commentary that the likes of yourselves are publishing, get your head around where the market is, form your own view, and then have that sort of confirmed via a third party or a valuer or anyone like that. So
I think that makes sense, and probably given like a 20 working day time frame on a lot of the deemed acceptance provisions for rent reviews, you actually kind of want to have a valuer already lined up so that when that notice rolls in, at least you're not having to like start fresh and be like, oh, who do I talk to, and all that type of thing.
And there's not, Auckland's a big place, as are other parts of the country, and there's not a lot of valuers nationwide, so you want to get in there early so you can appoint the most experienced valuer that's going to help your position, and the sooner you do that, the better.
100%. Oh, well, sweet one. Carl, thanks for your time, thanks for chatting.
Thanks,
and if you're out in the market, if you do need to get some advice on this type of thing, feel welcome to reach out to the Bay Lease valuation team, and you guys will be super happy to chat, no doubt.
Happy to help where we can.
Yeah, sweet. Awesome. Cheers, guys.
Thank you.